My name is Lauren. I'm 27, working as a marketing analyst in the heart of New York City. Last month, I blacked out right in the middle of a pitch. The world tilted, then vanished. Harsh overhead bulbs. A saline line snaking into my vein. The sterile scent of the ward felt impossible to inhale. My cell vibrated. Dad, he rarely dials during work hours. Honey, your manager mentioned you passed out. You all right? Just a spell of vertigo, I murmured. Likely tension or skipping meals. A beat of quiet. Skipping meals? Doesn't the monthly stipend cover your essentials? My gut clenched. What stipend? The funds your mother wires each month. Dead air. Then remain put. I'm phoning your mom. 3 years running. $3,500 deposited monthly. A total of $126,000 evaporated. Mom never skipped a transfer. Always the favored child. I exited the clinic clutching release forms and a lingering throb in my skull. Mom rang before I hit the underground steps. Lauren, it's all a mix-up. What mix-up? I pressed. You realize Haley's trajectory demands urgency. She requires backing now before opportunities close. I've survived on outdated dairy, I countered, while you bankroll her social feeds. You've got employment, she shot back too swiftly. Haley is forging a profession that calls for aid. I am forging a profession, earning $38,000 annually. In New York City, she sighed. We directed household funds where they'd yield results. You mean you rerouted my stipend? I stated, 3 years. $3,500 monthly. $126,000 that never materialized. That's an unfair label, she bit out. Your father wasn't privy to the specifics. So Dad remains in the dark, I breathed. He assumes he aided both girls evenly. Quiet stretched. Don't overreact, she said and disconnected. I commuted back to Queens, trembling. The tiny flat reeked of neglect and stale pasta. A pallet on the ground, a camp stool. A sputtering compact cooler. Dad rapped on the door 40 minutes on. He entered, gaze sweeping the space. How long have you endured this? Since settling here, I replied. He peered into my cooler. A tub of nut spread, partial jug of dairy. Leftovers rationed over days. Your mother displayed me the remittances, he muttered. Consistent inflows. She claimed they reached you. To what account? He summoned a image capture, shared account between Mom and Haley. Label, assistance pool. Month after month without fail. A switch flipped within me, then solidified. Crash here tonight? He suggested gently. I'll manage, I assured. He at last perceived the hardship I'd been drilled to conceal. Saturday carried the aroma of citrus cleaner and faded disputes. Dad invited me over for a group discussion. I sensed it was a trial, not a chat. The formal room shone like a tribunal. Crystal display case observers gazed via panes. My seat resembled an accused's perch. Mom fussed with linens that sat straight. Her bangle tinkled like an anxious rhythm. She dodged my stare, then forced a grin, strained. Haley breezed through tardy, polished, and winded. High-end activewear, emerald smoothie, flawless curls. What's the agenda? She inquired, already disinterested. I've got an audition at 4. Dad stayed upright. He laid documents on the surface. Lauren fainted due to undernourishment, he stated calmly. Medical staff verified low iron and fluid loss, and your mother redirected her funds for 3 years. Mom drew breath as if the term scorched. That's unjust, Robert. I distributed assets for our 2 girls. You siphoned from your flesh and blood, he countered. The outflows landed in a combined account, your signature and Haley's. Not Lauren's. Haley's mouth quivered, then composed. I had no clue, she claimed. Mom told me Dad was fueling my progress. You never questioned the source, I noted. You preferred the mystery. It preserved your polished existence. Quiet constricted the space like shrink film. Dad nudged another sheet Haley's way. A settlement schedule, he announced. $126,000 base, 3% yearly rate, $2,000 monthly until resolved. Haley stared as if the figures were alien. My lease runs $2,500, she objected. That's beyond my reach. Then share quarters, Dad responded bluntly. Take on part-time work. Countless creatives juggle exactly that. Mom lunged for the document. She's in a pivotal phase. Penalizing her derails her drive. Dad's expression sealed shut like a barrier. Monetary deceit carries repercussions. To our child. To our union, he faced me. I regret not confirming earlier. I regret overlooking. I fixed on my palms. They appeared aged beyond the prior year, more resolute now. Dad set a ledger on the surface. Endorse it, he instructed Mom. Immediately, my details, the sum, the day. The pen wavered, yet the figures stood firm. I held back tears. An inner hollow formed, hollowed out. Equity may lag, yet it slices all the same. Haley wept into her pristine cuffs. I passed her a tissue pack. I tucked the draft into my bag, my digits shook, my inhales held steady. Have you ever endured on sheer resolve? Share below. I rose to depart ahead. The seats scraped like a ruling. The residents no longer claimed me. I reclaimed my funds and forfeited the kin I recognized. Healing commenced with provisions and rest. A physician noted the subtle fact. Undernourishment, she inscribed, script firm. Your frame craves beyond endurance. I purchased loaves without tallying costs. Ripe fruits, genuine spread, quality dairy. Tears fell at checkout discreetly. A sleeping platform shipped in dual crates. I constructed it past midnight. The pallet elevated like absolution. The ground ceased siphoning heat. Then the alert messages began to falter. Delayed this cycle, Haley messaged. Talent firm held my payout. Dad relayed me inflows he shouldered. Temporary gap filler, he vowed. Temporary evolved to recurrent. Then habit. Prior habits cloaked as compassion. Fresh scarcity beneath improved shelter. I sensed the prior faintness in spirit. I launched Instagram and observed her world. Haley's skyline dusks. Affirmation blurbs. Premium cosmetics unveiled in gentle glow. She shared hardship from a stone foyer. She termed it resilience. I termed it sponsored. I created an anonymous profile. No barbs, merely inquiries. Wondering how you manage Miami on freelance shoots. Parental contributions. She erased the initial replies promptly, so I posed in other spots. I responded to genuine fighters in the threads below. I built trust through restraint. Then I queried once more openly. Plenty of performers hold extra gigs. What's your fallback revenue? A former classmate linked threads. Isn't your sibling Lauren in NYC? Didn't she drop from meal skipping? Interactions surged like an illness. A short-form creator linked captures. 200,000 impressions overnight. My device throbbed like an awakening. Mom phoned, tone edged razor-thin, delighted to dismantle her. No, I replied firm, delighted to nourish at last. Haley dialed at 2 a.m. weeping. Sponsors are withdrawing deals, she choked. Folks believe I took from you. Wasn't that the case? I queried gently. I was unaware, she maintained. You chose unawareness, I clarified. Blissful blindness funded your routine. Regional broadcast aired a piece. Kin withers as kin thrives in excess. A host delivered tempered indignation. They featured my clinic image. I brewed herbal and remained mute. The web required no input from me. It demanded their arithmetic. Dad messaged, deflated and subdued. I propped her up once more. My apologies cease, I typed. Allow repercussions to complete their teaching. Haley uploaded a regret clip, bare-faced, swollen lids, measured phrasing. She vowed part-time employment. She vowed modest housing. She vowed restitution plus yield. Replies divided evenly. Some extended leniency warily, some demanded proof outright. That evening I organized shopping sacks. I nested them in a compartment. I retained one as memento. Evidence of a mundane, vital habit. Hunger evaded me now, yet I tallied all the same, not measures, not currency, limits. I didn't expose a confidence. I pierced a narrative. Reverb outpaced regret. Haley's assignments dissolved in days. Dispatches came with polished regret. We're suspending collaboration ongoing. Mom rang by the day, then by the hour. Her voicemails oscillated like a clock, pleading, negotiating, faulting. Circling to please, I quit responding. Quiet turned my sole affirmation. Dad sought no repair from me. He sought a meal instead. Midweek, 7 sharp, the pasta spot, he noted. Dim lamps blurred the area's harsh lines. Aroma of allium and herbs filled the space. He appeared a decade wearier. I've initiated separation proceedings, he disclosed. Monetary betrayal is evidenced. He passed a dossier my way, captures, records, a chronicle of deception. I ought to have cross-checked, he pressed on. I trusted the ideal sans proof. I missed your deprivation. I kept insisting all was well, I admitted. I was raised to claim wellness. He inclined his head, gaze misted. You deserved space to stumble securely. We ought to have cushioned you, not edged you off. A waiter filled glasses soundlessly. Dad breathed deep, aligning the sheets. Henceforth, confirmation equals care. We dined in measured portions. The noodles evoked tentative pardons. Haley messaged post-midnight. Landed a store position. Begins Monday. Shifting to shared digs. 7 days on, a credit hit. Her identifier at last as originator. $1,500, short of $2,000, but authentic. I issued a log and remainder. I sought no further. Mom insisted on a summit. She picked the estate in Connecticut. The galley appeared editorial flawless, unaltered. She commenced with a deliberate inhale. I committed grave errors, she conceded. I yearned for both girls to thrive. I feared time pressed Haley. Time pressed my vitals, I retorted. pressed my frame, my shelter, my security. She extended toward my grip. I withheld it. Limits reject not. They safeguard. Dad entered bearing his counselor's portfolio. Mom's features set, then fractured. Saline streaked her liner anew. I seek not your ruin, Dad stated, yet denial shields your actions. Repercussions shield our girl. Haley dispatched the follow-up installment promptly. Then the next, barely prompt. Logs accumulated into firmer ground. A span, not a settlement. By cycle 4, she exceeded. $2,500 annotated. Extra from seasonal commerce. Striving for improvement, I strolled back amid initial frost. My cell hummed with fresh credit. Dad, not Haley this round. I rang at once. Reverse it, I directed. She requires the discipline, not my aid. He hesitated, then consented low. Correct. I'll halt forcing resolutions. That evening I perused archived images. Anti-collapse, anti-reveal, anti-walkway, all appeared sleek and benign. We embodied none of it. For once, repercussions bypassed the radiant one. Seasons advanced in modest, candid strides. Shelter secured. Supplies routine, counseling each Thursday at 4. Haley persisted in remitting, cycle upon cycle. Occasionally tardy, occasionally ahead, invariably recorded, logs built into reliable form. Dad sealed the split discreetly. Confirmation shaped his fresh dialect. He appeared, then lingered. I relearned everyday rites. Weekend wash. Weekend broth. Device muted during repose. My quarters eased into comfort. A mat that lay flat. Greenery that braved dim seasons. A note landed in January. Balance cleared, Haley typed. Yield factored. An image trailed, stark and bold. She proposed a rendezvous in town. I nearly erased the note. Instead, I entered brief span. She arrived in plain outerwear. No enhancements. No poised visage. Palms roughened from counter duties. I long for you, she ventured. You long for my former self, I replied, ere I grasped limits. I long for the sibling I harmed, she said. I'm laboring to merit connection. We strolled the elevated path at twilight. River metallic indigo. Breeze keen for candor. I can't timetable absolution, I noted. I can extend stipulations, candor, and reliability. No interventions, no falsehoods. She assented like inking terms. I'll persist in presence, she vowed. Even amid the unglamorous. At my place, I kindled a taper. A subdued blaze, constant and modest. I supped sans reckoning repercussions. I slumbered unbroken. If you've navigated akin trials, solitude evades you. Share what you retained, and what you at last surrendered. I pardon not the history, I transcended it.